Yeah, no, Max Kaiser's a smart dude, but I mean, him and all of the Maxis, I think they're missing something,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. The Gerald,
I
Gerald
mean,
and I were talking about the spectrum of NFTs, where on one end it's kind of the fun, arty, nichey kind of top shelf NBA stuff, and then on the other end, mortgages, real estate, real actual financial applications where things get really interesting.
and you know, art doesn't always also have to be only NFTs either. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for them to tokenize the Mona Lisa, right?
That's yeah,
I, they will at some
yeah.
point. I mean, the Louvre is going to need some cash, and they'll put it up for auction. But here's the thing: is they'll be able to make a lot more money if they fractionalize it.
That's what I was just going to say. You can own a
Because
fractional portion, right?
who isn't going to want part of the Mona Lisa?
Right.
Is that considered an NFT? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it is. I don't know. Is
And
it
then I
like
think
one
that
NFT that can be broken down, or is it?
yeah.
I
And
don't
this,
know. We're
what
talking
about
about
the intellectual
terminology here.
property rights and stuff? You know, I mean, let's say like I take a photo, I post it online, then let's say Kenneth Bosak takes that photo, then decides to customize it and do some things with it and then launches it as an NFT. Now, do I get any cut of that because I took the photo and originally posted it? Or am I, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is
Oh,
all uncharted
so I
territory.
did a whole. I don't know if you read it, but a few days ago I did a whole deep dive into what is an NFT, and actually it has nothing to do with copyright. So the first thing that we need to understand is it's not a copyright.
Okay.
Actually, the word copyright is very foreign to crypto. I mean, crypto is always open source, and in crypto, I believe it was Ryan Selkis who said, you know, it's an industry where you can steal somebody's milkshake and drink it right in their face, and they cannot do a thing about it. Like, you could just fork off a blockchain like Sushi did to Uniswap,
Yeah.
and everybody, you know, and that's just and that's all fair game because it's all open source.
Open source. Yep.
Yeah.
So NFTs aren't really different. I mean, NFTs, that what they are is um, you're tokenizing, or you're just trading a token that represents something. The way that I like to think about it is like an autograph from the artist, right? So he's not selling you a print; he's actually selling you a signed copy. He's selling you his signature on that piece of art, and he can make one of them, or he can make 50 of them. And he, you know, and that way you can control the scarcity. But what you're really paying for is the signature of the artist himself, and not the work of the art. I mean, you can take one of these crypto punks, right? That's just sold for $1 million. You don't even have to screenshot it. You can actually right click on the website and download the actual image. And it's right off of OpenSea. So you know, there isn't any, like, you could still take an image or a file and you can still copy it an infinite amount of times. NFTs are only like an authentication or something like this. It's really, all it is.
Yeah, it gives it provenance.
Provenance.
There's a lot of
That's the
hype behind
word.
it.
What's that?
It's a good word.
Provenance.
Mhm.
That's the word of the day. Gerald, could you use provenance in a sentence for us?
That's the word of the day. Thank you, Pete Davidson, for breaking the internet and making Pete go to the moon, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing that crypto is just going to just get bigger and bigger. Cryptomania is hitting the world by storm, and the markets are already there. People don't seem to realize that the infrastructure for the mobile web has been around for years now. So everyone has a mobile phone, and most of the investments I look for an iOS version and an Android version. There's a very big reason I do that, is because if you study technology, lots of things in Africa leapfrog because of just mobile technology. Yeah. And that's the same thing that we're going to see here, is that the mobile web infrastructure is already there. The web 3.0 is going to fix a lot of the holes of the web 2.0. And we're just going through, I think, some of the, this is CryptoKitties 2.0 right now. Everyone's like, oh shit, wow, now I can make some money, right? Like Pete Davis is like, how can I make one of these things? And exactly, like my buddy, you saw my buddy's artwork. I mean, I think his artwork is worthy of paying some ETH for. But again, I think we're in bubble territory, because I said like I think that paying like 11 ETH for a Taco Bell NFT is insane. But yeah, if you're paying for Beeple and it's on Christie's and there's a lot of people bidding for his artwork, you might be paying for something that's going to grow in value over time, and it is a good investment. Like my friend, I think his art is just going to get more valuable over time as well. And the cool thing about investing in crypto art is if you buy the art in BTC, if the artist hodls the asset itself, then they have the potential to not only make a lot of money in the short term, but over long-term projections, they could even make even more money, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think people was smart by selling his whole position in Ethereum. I think he should have kept at least 50%, just because I think Ethereum is going to go to like $5,000 next couple of weeks. Thanks, Pete.
Wow. Wow. You heard it right there. Gerald's been pretty spot on with a lot of stuff. So
that is a mighty call.
That is a mighty call.
Just hit a new hash power a few days ago, new all-time high hash power. So that's a good indicator that it's not just based on hype. If you see all the NFTs, I think it's not going to happen though until I think May, April, the end of April or May. I think the big thing is going to be when Uniswap version 3 comes out. They have their layer 2 solution in there. The fees drop on Uniswap, and all this money just goes flooding back into Uniswap, and they still control a huge portion of the decentralized exchange. I'm a user. Most people these days, if you're an Ethereum hodler, you're utilizing Uniswap because it is a cool decentralized exchange. And when version 3 comes out, I just see
how is that again?
My unprofessional opinion.
That's an economic term, I think.
Yeah.
Put that one in the dictionary. So I'm gonna play the I'm gonna be the party pooper over here and say that NFTs are indeed a bubble of some sort. And I'm not talking about maybe Beeple or stuff like that. There's something authentic happening there. But I think that a lot of these, so I have, my issue is when people use the term investing in art. And I think that just like wine or, whiskey or things like that, people don't generally use them as a tool for investment, right? A lot of the time what happens, when people have made a lot of money off of wine is because, they bought it because they actually wanted to drink it at some point. And then they go, okay, you know what, I'll put this on the side. And then they, look at it 10, 20 years later, like, oh my gosh, look how much it's actually worth right now. I'm not going to drink this. I'm going to sell it. Right. And I think that art is, is something that people buy because they feel an affinity for it, and less because they think that they're going to make money in the future. Now, I know that there's people out there flipping Beeples, like there's no tomorrow. And I wouldn't also call that investing, as maybe trading, right? Short-term scalping or something like that, just because, you were the first one in line or whatever, and you were able to get your hands on it. And then that the market price is actually higher than that. That's a different dynamic, but I don't, the word investing to me is where, you're buying a piece of a company or a project or something, or network, something that over time you feel is going to grow, and your piece of that is going to grow along with it. And that's how I see investing. And everything that has to do with art, I don't think that that's investing. I don't see myself anyways. Maybe there are people out there, maybe you, who feel like, okay, I'm going to buy a piece of art because it's going to grow in value over time. But I feel that it's more a matter of, especially within the world of art, it's more a matter of collecting rather than investing, curating, and things like that.
When we talk about the NFTs and everything that's out there, one thing that I've learned from just being here and around the folks on the team at QE is looking at other opportunities. When we talked about Bitcoin, we talked about companies that support that come around in that infrastructure, you know, like Riot Blockchain, et cetera. So when we talk about NFTs, one company that I'm trying to do some research on, and I'm an idiot, so I turn to you guys, is a company called Otoy. They're the company that Beeple created that project on, and Otoy is the software and the company that you know, Disney uses, a lot of other folks. And so I'm just thinking to myself, as a retail stupid investor, do I look to buy some Otoy stock if the NFT craze is continuing to go on? Is that the picks and shovels aspect of it?
I mean,
So I'm not actually familiar with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar either, but it's not a bad idea if you do your research and look at their P&Ls and all that jazz, and look at their numbers and see if they are actually bringing in profit. Right now, like I told you, I'm just looking at Canaan. That's my only investment. It's come down a lot.
OTOY?
Yay! It came down.
Yeah, OTOY is the name of the company. OTOY is the name of the company.
OTOY, yeah. And I was looking at a few other mining companies, but I'm just sticking with Canaan because I think that this chip shortage is getting worse and worse and worse. And my theory is playing out before our very eyes. And that Canaan is just, their stock is just going to go to like $100 in the next like year or so, maybe even $1,000 if this chip shortage becomes crazy. And then we have this backup in the Suez Canal, where there's like thousands of ships getting backed up. And when's that going to affect the markets? I don't know. Sometimes that can affect markets right away because it's, you know, it's on TV. It's being talked about, just like the SNL video today. And you can see all the ships backing up. That is literally backing up tons of goods and services all over the world. So it's going to get interesting next week.
Your thoughts,
sure.
Matty?
I'm just looking at Otoy right now, and I don't see that they are a publicly traded entity.
Okay, so I can't
buy
them.
It might be difficult. No, I think it's difficult to invest in now.
Can't buy them.
You'd have to know somebody or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to be on the inside.
Yes, or have enough money that they'll be seeking you out. You know, we'll just hodl Bitcoin for a while.
There you go.
Yeah, they'll be calling you soon.
No, but that Suez Canal story is pretty crazy. And the market is largely ignoring it. Like there hasn't been any major moves, and you know, even you'd look to like to the market to make, you know, decisive moves about such a story, right? Like I don't know if it's just like shipping lanes or something like that. The market has actually not touched it, because, and the reason I believe is because it's being seen as very much as a temporary issue that eventually it's going to get unblocked. It's not going to have a long-term impact on the prices of the companies themselves.
Agreed.
And I think that, you know, even like Nike was mentioned because, you know, they're bringing their sneakers and they're bringing them from China to the United States, and that's where they're selling them. So you know what, you might have trouble finding Nike. I don't think Nike's going to bump up their prices over something like that. They might run out of stock, but within a week or two, it'll be cleared up, and you know, there'll be products back on the shelves. This isn't something that's going to have, you know, lasting impact in any way, shape, or form. The question is, if there are some goods, not from, you know, big companies like Nike, but maybe from companies that are a bit more flexible with their pricing, that actually you might want to go out and buy them right now before they become very scarce in a week from now, right? Yeah. And if that's the case, that they start bumping up the prices like that, that could lead to some inflation. And this is my biggest fear right now, is I'm watching everything that might influence inflation. And this is an event in my mind. You know, and think about it, everybody keeps saying it's a limited number of goods, infinite number of money competing for those goods. And this is what causes inflation at the end of the day. So now that, you know, the Mediterranean on the one side and the Strait of Hormuz on the other side have essentially become parking lots.
Yes,
exactly.
You know, there's going to be a scarce, you know, a very much more limited number of goods out there that people are competing over. Not right now, not today, not tomorrow, but in a week from now, yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think with short-term prices, I don't think it would be affected by this incident. I think it's good. They're already being affected. I stated in some of my private podcasts like 2 years ago, my rent went up in 1 year. My cable bill or my internet provider bill went up 3 times in 2019.
Wow.
Within 13 months, it went up 3 times, and my rent went up 22%. So I tell people, it's like inflation is going up for some time now, and we're seeing it just get worse. And I think this is just a coincidence with this, but I think a side effect, the only thing that may be affected is, oil. You have all these ships burned in tons and tons of oil. I think we might see a spike in the price of oil. And if there's a spike in the price of oil, there potentially might be a spike in the price of the DXY and the dollar. And if that happens, we might see some pullback in all the equities and crypto markets as well. It's potential.
That's some good analysis right there.
Yeah. It is indeed, and I've actually kind of been waiting for a pullback in the equity market and the crypto market. I mean, people keep saying, that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, but I mean, let's get real. It's up 100x from the beginning of the year, and inflation has not been nearly that.
Yeah.
So people have to realize that there is some sort of a speculative aspect to it. And I'm not, calling for the end of the bull market or anything like that. And, obviously I'm happy to be proven wrong, and, Bitcoin can go and blast through 60K. I don't see that it has the strength to do that. And the other thing that kind of irks me is that we haven't been seeing those fund managers coming out again, like they were in January, saying, okay, I'm buying and I'm going in. And we've seen a lot less of that in the last few weeks. I pointed out in my newsletter on Thursday that the volumes have also been stagnating. I mean, they're stagnating at a point of like 5x, what was anything that was normal 6 months ago. But they're still stagnating. They're not what they were in January. They're not what they were in February. They're much lower now. And we haven't seen a 20-30% pullback in a while in Bitcoin. And as we know, bull markets, I'm just waiting for that flash crash. And once that flash crash happens, big dip, that's, I'm just not sleeping because I want to make sure that I want to catch that dip at the bottom, really.
Dawn Fitzpatrick,
if it happens.
She's the head over there at Soros Fund Management. I saw an interview with her on Bloomberg recently, and they were talking about Bitcoin and asking if Soros's fund there has purchased any Bitcoin. And she laughs, like she wanted to say yeah, but she was like, but I don't think she felt comfortable to have the cover to come out and say we are. But when you hear about what they're about, you kind of got to think that those guys are in on it as well, right? They're poking around it.
Oh, most certainly.
I would not be surprised at all. I mean, Soros just seems like the type that he likes alternative assets, and he likes thinking out of the box. He appreciates scarcity, and I'm quite certain that he's at least had a good look at Bitcoin.
I mean, look at Tesla's position. It's already doubled, and there was a few people that were like, oh my gosh, you're crazy, and he's already made more money by investing in Bitcoin. And other billionaires see this. Look at the only exception, I agree with Matty to a point, but the only exception is that Norwegian billionaire that came out yesterday and made a big investment, and he was a no coiner and a very big no coiner, and changed his position. And again, this is going to keep happening with companies globally. We see it in China. We see it in the United States. We're going to see it in Hong Kong, Japan, all over the world, Australia. The list is going to grow and grow. It's going to be a chain reaction. And the NFT mania is just giving people like more reasons to get online and research. And when they start realizing that all these things lead back to Bitcoin and Ethereum, you better start investing. I think I said this in the last time we spoke. You have more than 3 or 4 of the billionaires on Shark Tank all have billions of dollars invested in cryptocurrency. And there's a reason why that is. They get it. I tell people, I think I was talking to somebody today, it's like, look, how does it make sense for the average retail investor to put their money in a savings account that the average savings account is 0.05% at best? This is a joke. You look at cryptocurrency, there's a thing called out there, a very easy Ethereum wallet called the Rainbow Wallet. They have a DAI savings account that's paying like 5.75%. It's like I click 3 buttons and I'm literally like making 10 times more than a bank savings account. This is a no-brainer, people. This is not like rocket science. I'm sorry. And like Mark Cuban finally figured out, it's like, oh my gosh, this is the next like big, super big thing to hit technology.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. I was going to listen to his podcast. Like he was just getting interviewed about NFTs and all that. And I didn't get to listen to it today, but
he was on Blockchain and Booze too.
Yeah, dude. I saw a little bit of that as well. And I mean, he is studying his game and all his friends are millionaires and billionaires. And trust me, they're
Wasn't
all
he the guy who said
investing.
Bitcoins were like bananas or something like that?
Yeah, guess what? Guess what? And he said that shit. And then somebody made one of those NFTs with the banana, and he bought one of those mofos.
That's awesome. Good for him then.
Yeah, no, I saw he's got his own NFT art curation. I don't remember where I saw it.
Dude, was I not saying that's a good idea to build a NFT museum? And boom, 2 days later, Mark King was like, I'm going to open up a NFT museum. I was like, I knew it. Damn it.
Hey, Gary Gensler is going to get confirmed here, it looks like, within the next month or so by the Senate. How soon after that do you expect to see any of these 8 Bitcoin ETFs that we're looking at a record right now get approved?
I don't know the time frame, but again, I watched the whole almost all day Senate the Senate's voting, and it didn't come up. It got bumped. I was mad. But I literally had it on most of the day on my phone and on C-SPAN.
Yeah.
And I guess it's going to be next week.
Like within the next week or so, they're going to, they bumped it, right. But
I think they're back.
Sounds like they're getting them in the green light.
I think it's like one day next week, they're back in session. And then it's like after the Easter holiday, I think it might be then. So I don't know exactly the date, but it's going to be soon. And if he does get appointed, I do foresee a Bitcoin ETF getting approved. You've got Fidelity, you got all these big banks.
We have 8 lined up.
Yeah. And dude, if you look at the list of Bitcoin ETFs, it's up to like, I think 30 or 50. I don't know. I've lost track. It's insane. And there's a few out there I think are ready and will get approved. When that date is, I couldn't tell you. I would probably say before the fourth quarter, maybe.
Yeah, I have no idea. Actually, I'm not a lawyer, and I certainly don't know very much about the time frame that it takes the SEC to approve things or not approve things. And I also don't know. I mean, as much as Gensler, we know, is very familiar with the ins and outs. I don't know exactly where he stands on this. It seems that everybody has a lot of confidence that this is going to happen, and very likely it does seem that we could see it this year. But that's just me talking from what I'm seeing on through the Twitterati. And
do we know in the past would they or have they, the SEC, when it comes to ETFs, would they approve all of them, or in the past, or do they generally just pick one and say, okay, we're going with this one and everybody else no? Or do they say some yes, some no, and then maybe we add these later? Or is it just kind of
as far as I understand the process, they should be weighing each one on its own merits. This is a free market. It's not the Apple store where they go, oh, well, we already have a calculator, we don't need another one. It's more of, the Google Play Store where, okay, you've submitted it. It gets, it goes through the regular ropes. We do the check, make sure there's no bugs in it. Mm-hmm. Fine, here you go, approved. And then let the market decide what they want to do with it.
Okay.
I think we see the UK probably getting one next, just because they're starting to realize that a lot of the financial sector is going to leave soon and move across the channel there. And they can revitalize their and have a neo economy built on cryptocurrency. And there's a lot of people looking to invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum in the UK, and I think it's just that's the next market that's really going to blow up, because there's a lot of people who are smart in the
UK
UK.
regulation really troubles me. And,
yeah, that's the bad part.
As UK is eToro's main market, or was for the majority of the time that I was there, and I don't feel that they've ever been very friendly on crypto. It seemed to me that they were actually more ignorant, and we got away with things because we could, and they just weren't looking for it. I think that now they're getting up to speed, but I don't see them as a particularly friendly entity. And I think that it might take a while before they get to that level. And I agree with you, Gerald, that they do need it. And Brexit has wreaked havoc on their financial sector. I mean, London was one of the financial hubs of the world, and now is much less so because of the Brexit, and you can see it on the ground, and it's quite sad. I mean, a lot of people had to relocate, and a lot of firms completely downsized their London operations, moving to Berlin or Paris or such. And kind of sucks. And I do believe that embracing the digital economy and the digital internet could put them back on track, but I don't know how much confidence I have in the authorities there to fast track that. And the number one thing that's working against them is the Financial Times, who I've had a lot of dealings with in the past, and they've never been very positive on crypto.
Yeah, and that's usually because people just don't understand it, and that's the hard part is that once I give somebody cryptocurrency, it's just like they get it like almost within at least a couple days. Like my roommate, she's in her 50s or 60s, and she's a hodler now, and she gets it. She like totally gets it, because she understands that. I think I posted up that article yesterday. Everything's going to become encrypted. Like DARPA's working on that. What is it? Fully homomorphic encryption, FHE, and that's because their systems have been compromised many times over last year in that big mega hack, and they're trying to figure out how to encrypt everything. All data is going to become encrypted. Data is the new oil, and crypto is just another form of data. And that's what people don't realize, is that this is the next wave of a new economy, and most of us are pioneers of it, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Didn't I read today that New York is about to put their vaccination passports on the blockchain? I mean,
they just released.
What the heck?
They just released passports for vaccinations on blockchain in Manhattan. The mayor, was it the mayor? No, the governor announced. So that's crazy stuff. So I mean, this is moving by leaps and bounds. Another thing I pointed out is at the end of that NFT video on Saturday Night Live, they point out the QR code, and for the tickets to the UFC. Exactly. And guess what? You can buy those tickets with crypto. Like you can buy those tickets with Litecoin, and I think other crypto as well now. And that's a big deal. And there's a lot of people say don't spend your Litecoin for many or your Bitcoin for many reasons, and there are good reasons not to, but at the same time, if we want them to be classified as monies, we do have to spend them. And I think we're coming to an inflection point where regulation does have to be very clearly stated. And I think eventually it's going to.
I'm not sure I want to pay capital gains when buying concert tickets, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is nobody does right now. And I think if it's actually considered monies, then these are non-taxable events, and we're going to need some clarification from the authorities on this, because if they start hodling, then it is money. And that's
so that's and Ray Dalio, for example, is I'm sorry, Matt. I know that you had Ray Dalio up your sleeve there.
He's like,
well, yeah, no, I mean, I love Ray. I respect him, but like my question with Ray is he thinks all of a sudden it's going to get banned. And I'm like, dude, there's eight.
where have you been?
Yeah, Ray.
Yeah, where have you been, bro? Like this, first off, if you
So
want
Ray is a
T-Corn-
student of history,
Yeah.
and I want you to know that he's not far off. I would be very surprised if Yellen and Powell aren't already trying to figure out what they can do to curb Bitcoin as money. And I don't know what they might do or what they might not do, honestly, but Ray knows history, and history tends to repeat itself. And when another money comes and there is a government in place who stands to benefit from their money being the top dog, they will try and do something. You know, what they did with, you know, Charlie Shrem and, you know, Ross Ulbricht, I mean, that was like back in the day. If they certainly failed. So that was like their first attempt. Question is if they come out with another one. And I wouldn't write that off. I wouldn't write that off as a possibility. I wouldn't, you know, I don't know how that it might affect price, because as we've seen before, you know, people say ban and people start
up.
panic buying.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
But I would also not take it off the table that Yellen and Powell, along with Joe Biden, and, you know, they could probably rack up at least a half a dozen, if not 24 Democrats on, you know, to try and pull some legislation through against crypto. It's not unthinkable.
That's true. But at the same time, it's like you literally have to shut down the grid and the web, and it's almost an impossibility. So good luck, I tell people.
No, I don't think that they could ban Bitcoin. Not if they really wanted to. But what they could do is make it extremely difficult. Like we're talking about here. I don't think that they're about to make it a non-taxable event. That's how they keep their money in control.
Yeah, they're going to tax
by the three of us going, I'm not buying concert tickets with my Bitcoin because I don't want to pay capital gains. And that's how they get you, is through the taxation system, and they keep taxing it, and that's how they minimize the overarching effect.
Wow, that's some next level stuff right there, but it's true, man.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but when you see Visa, you see MasterCard, you see Morgan Stanley, you see JP Morgan,
Goldman Sachs, Fidelity.
And guess what? Guess who has the biggest lobbies in Washington?
Yep.
Those people. So again, I have to 180 on that one.
I'm going to have to go with Jerry on this one too.
Right. The question is, are the corporations in charge or is the government?
Again, very, very good point. And in our country, it's the corporations.
It's the corporations.
They have been for many years, and Visa's been leading the way. So is MasterCard. I mean, if you really do your research, like I think I said a couple of times when we were talking, JP Morgan did this huge blockchain transaction through their satellites using tokens. And they were like, that was cool. And I was like, dude, that was cool, JP Morgan. Like, what? Like, so crypto.
I mean, I'm gonna keep playing devil's advocate because we've got another 6.5 minutes on the clock.
Oh, okay. But no,
does Visa really want you to be using Bitcoin as money?
No, I don't.
Do they?
I don't
because they're to me, Visa is entering this space out of fear.
Yep.
Right. Like if we don't get involved, we're going to completely be displaced. We're going to lose out over here. Let's get involved. But they know very well, just as well as you and I, that in a world where everything is open source and everything is Bitcoin, their place in payments, in everyday payments, is extremely diminished. They understand that. But to them, they do want to make sure that they have a piece of that rather than just completely disappearing.
Yeah, exactly.
And certainly, you know, they'd rather the Visa wallet be the #1 wallet on the App Store, I'm sure. But do they have an incentive to lobby the government to make Bitcoin purchases a non-taxable event?
Well,
I
again,
don't think so. I think that they also have incentive to keep the U.S. dollar as a top dog, even though they realize the potential of blockchain, or especially because they realize that the potential of blockchain.
Oh yeah. Again, I think that stable coins are going to be, and well, I like to call them fiat coins, are going to be the future that people transact in mostly. But in the background, Visa and MasterCard and all these other companies realize again that the money systems that we use, even the digital forms that we use, are not encrypted. There's many holes in some of those systems, and I know this, many people know this, and having your money encrypted on the blockchain. And the best part that Visa and MasterCard realize is that these transactions are settled in almost real time. The SWIFT system does not do that. Mm-hmm. A lot of these, even some of these close to real time systems that run on the digital systems that we run.
Yeah, don't even get me started on SWIFT, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even get me started. Oh my gosh.
150% on this stuff. And I always tell, and I told this story to Matty a few weeks ago. I've transferred $400 from one U.S. bank to another U.S. bank.
Gerald, I'm waiting on a transfer right now from myself to myself, and from 2 different countries. It's already 2 weeks.
Wow. 2 weeks, exactly.
2 weeks, and they're like, and nothing.
Visa
and like,
MasterCard.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Exactly.
It's not even.
All the banks.
It's not even that they can't do it. They just don't want to. They have no incentive. Yeah. Like they're just fucking lazy bankers.
Well, I would submit this to you.
Because the old way, that's how they make their money. They have all these, little micro escrow accounts that earn interest, and they have all this millions of dollars just sitting there like all those ships in the Suez Canal. And and that's how they earn money. And again, like if they if a couple of us just showed them, like, look, you click this button here, you click this button here. Oh my gosh, you might make 1,000%. Holy crap. And again, Mark Cuban moved several $billion or millions of dollars, I would say, maybe not billions, several millions of dollars, I'm sure, using Uniswap, and realized that, holy crap, I can move money around the world now without a bank. And if my relatives need money in Argentina, I can send them $1,000 for like 2 to 20 bucks.
It's not just Mark Cuban. Howard fucking Marks said the same thing the other day. He's like,
everyone is doing it.
And there is an advantage though, is that you don't have to go. You don't have to use the banks.
Exactly.
I don't like banks very much.
There's a guy by the name of Umar Farouk.
Learn how to start mining, then they are going to be extinct. These are just facts. This is why Fidelity is leading the way. Fidelity Digital Assets is eventually going to, I would assume, open up to retail. And on that day, of course, another.
I was going to say Umar Farouk is the guy's name, and he's the head of Onyx, which is by JP Morgan. And he was on a call with central bankers and folks from SWIFT, saying, hey guys, if we don't do something and update our business model, technology, etc., we are going to go extinct. And this is like them, like
correct.
Yeah. So they see the writing.
They see the writing on the wall now. And again, when you have more than 60% of the people on Shark Tank being big time hodlers now, there's a reason for that. They know that this is the future. You have Mr. Wonderful, like, I'm investing not only in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin mining companies that are using renewables. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they get it. And it's going to incentivize energy to a whole new level. It's going to incentivize, there's now people talking about carbon credits. It's like, oh, on the blockchain, it makes 100% sense. Like, oh, wow. That same person 5-10 years ago was like, nope, never in a million years, never going to happen. Now people are talking about that kind of stuff. So to me, it's just, the space is growing by leaps and bounds. And, I'm just fascinated. I find new stuff all the time. And again, you got millionaires and more millionaires and billionaires to keep investing in this space. The probability that it does, pan out that these events, if you're going to be using them as actual monies, they potentially could become non-taxable events. That is a probability as well.